Studio City, Los Angeles, a glamorous and opulent haven nestled to the west of the iconic Hollywood Hills. This city, known for its lavish mansions and A-list residents, is a dream come true for many stars. Celebrities like Bruno Mars, George Clooney, Will Smith, and Tom Cruise call this place home. Despite its allure, Studio City has a higher crime rate than the national average, although violent crimes are relatively lower. It was never meant to be the setting for a tragic event that unfolded in 1985, claiming the life of a renowned producer. Let's rewind to the beginning, where Barry J. Cohen, born on November 10, 1927 in Detroit, Michigan, entered the world. Raised by his parents, Lois Lou Cohen and Sylvia Cohen, Barry had an older brother named Elliot David Cohen. From an early age, the two brothers shared a special bond with their father, a man of many interests. It was during these formative years that their father introduced them to the game of bridge, a pastime that would shape Barry's life. Growing up, Barry was immersed in the world of entertainment through his father's movie theater business. Lou Cohen, a man of many talents, owned numerous theaters and was actively involved in civic projects. As Barry honed his bridge skills, he also developed a passion for the entertainment industry, setting the stage for his future endeavors. Fast forward to July 5, 1985, when Barry Crane, now a 57-year-old prolific producer and director, found himself in Studio City for a bridge regional tournament. Little did he know that these games would mark the final chapter of his life. Tragically, that evening, his lifeless body was discovered by a housekeeper in the garage of his luxurious townhouse. Beaten and strangled with a telephone cord, the circumstances surrounding his death were shrouded in mystery. What could have led to the demise of this esteemed producer? Was it a vengeful act of murder, or something far more intricate? The answers to these questions lie within the depths of Studio City, a place where dreams are realized, but where darkness can also cast its shadow. Barry Crane's journey through marriages and personal struggles eventually led him to a path of success in the entertainment industry. At the young age of 17, he married Arlene Anderson from Los Angeles, but unfortunately, their relationship didn't stand the test of time. However, Barry didn't let this setback define him. In 1946, he found love again and tied the knot with Shirley Coblin from Southfield, Michigan. This second marriage brought him two beautiful children, Cheryl Lynn and Ben. Tragedy struck when Barry's father, Lou, passed away in 1947. The loss deeply affected him, causing him to drop out of college at the University of Michigan. Despite the personal hardships he faced, Barry's professional life was destined for greatness. His second marriage also ended in divorce in 1954, leaving him searching for a fresh start. In his pursuit of a new beginning, Barry decided to change his surname from Cohen to Crane for professional reasons. With a renewed sense of purpose, he packed his bags and headed to Los Angeles, California in 1955. This move marked the beginning of a remarkable transformation in his life. Barry's first step toward success was working at the Pasadena Playhouse, where he immersed himself in the world of performing arts. It was here that he discovered his passion for television entertainment. He pitched an original screenplay that caught the attention of RKO Pictures and King Brothers, leading to a 3-picture deal. Although the film based on his script, titled The Seven Lanterns of Japan, was never made, it served as a stepping stone for Barry's career. His talent and dedication soon paid off. Barry became the associate producer and later the producer of the iconic 1966 TV series Mission Impossible. This was just the beginning of his impressive portfolio. He went on to produce other successful shows like Mannix in 1967 and The Magician in 1973, among many others. Barry's directorial skills were also highly sought after. He had the opportunity to work on popular shows such as Trapper John, M.D., The Incredible Hulk, Hawaii Five-0, Chips, Dallas, Wonder Woman, and Supertrain. His talent and professionalism earned him the admiration of many actors, including Mike Connors, who described Barry as a problem solver and a highly talented individual. Barry's talent and dedication to his work quickly gained him recognition in his field. Through his career, he formed valuable connections that allowed him to be involved in some of the most influential TV series of the 1960s and 1970s. While fans and colleagues knew him for his exceptional work, Barry managed to keep his personal life private, skillfully deflecting any inquiries. Speculation about his sexuality arose when he relocated to Los Angeles, but Barry remained evasive as he often did. During that era, being a homosexual man was met with prejudice, and Barry was well aware of the challenges he faced. Although he never openly discussed it, he never denied the rumors either. He sought a place in the bustling city where he could find acceptance and live freely according to his own choices. Despite his professional success, Barry's mind was restless. In a 1972 interview, he revealed that he had been married twice, but both marriages ended in divorce, leaving him unable to find peace. He mentioned a brief vacation to the Caribbean in February, which was meant to be a 3-week getaway, but was cut short after just 5 days. Barry confessed that his mind was constantly active, rarely allowing him a moment of rest. In addition to his accomplishments in the film industry, Barry was also an exceptional bridge player. His passion for cards began at a young age, and he pursued it professionally in the late 1940s. Even as he made his mark in television, Barry's love for bridge never diminished. He often engaged in competitive games with fellow actor Peter Graves during breaks on set. Notably, he achieved the prestigious McKenney Award at the age of 25, an honor named after the esteemed William McKenney, Executive Secretary of the American Contract Bridge League. Barry Crane, a legendary figure in the world of bridge, was a force to be reckoned with. His dominance in tournament play earned him numerous accolades and the respect of his peers. For an impressive 30 years, Barry either challenged or emerged victorious in the competition for the award given to the player in North America with the most master points in a calendar year. Throughout his lifetime, Barry's achievements were nothing short of remarkable. He claimed the prestigious McKenney Trophy on 6 occasions in the years 1952, 1967, 1971, 1973, 1975, and 1978. Additionally, he secured the Mott Smith Trophy twice, the Asbury Trophy 4 times, the Stoddard Memorial Trophy once, and the IBPA Award for Best Personality in 1985. Barry's prowess in bridge extended beyond these accolades, as he became a 15-time North American champion and a Grand Life Master in the American Contract Bridge League. Even after his passing in 1985, Barry's legacy continued to shine brightly. He held the record for the highest number of master points in bridge history until 1991, when it was finally surpassed by Paul Soloway. In recognition of Barry's remarkable contributions, the American Contract Bridge League renamed the award for the highest bridge master points in a year to the Barry Crane Trophy in 1995, a decade after his death. Furthermore, Barry was honored with induction into the American Contract Bridge League Hall of Fame. Beyond his achievements in bridge, Barry was known for his amiable nature and was highly regarded by his colleagues in both the TV industry and his bridge career. One individual who shared a close bond with him was his bridge partner, Carrie Schumann. Together, they formed an exceptional team, winning the World Mixed Pairs title in 1978 at a bridge competition held in New Orleans. Barry's aggressive gameplay combined with Carrie's strategic defense made them one of the most formidable duos in the history of the game. Barry's talents extended beyond the bridge table as he found success as a producer and director in the television industry. His iconic TV series from the 1960s and 70s propelled him to stardom, and his opulent house in Studio City and white Cadillac Eldorado were symbols of his growing success in Hollywood. In the early 1980s, some of his final projects included directing episodes of Flamingo Road, 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, The Powers of Matthew Starr, and the movie Conquest of the Earth, which was the third and final installment of the Battlestar Galactica trilogy. Fast forward to July 1985, Barry was in Pasadena for a Bridge Week regional tournament at the Pasadena Convention Center. He was all set to win with his team, and even played a pair game with Billy Miller, a Silver Life Master and Bridge Bulletin columnist. On the 4th of July 1985, Barry invited Miller and his ex-wife to dinner, but excused himself upon arrival, claiming he wasn't feeling well. The next day, July 5th, Barry was nowhere to be found at the tournament center, causing a stir among the players. Carrie Schumann, Barry's trusted teammate, stepped in to fill his spot. While Barry's team was excelling in the tournament, Barry was at home on Colfax Avenue, supposedly enjoying his holiday. Little did anyone know that evening would take a dark turn. Around 3 p.m., Barry was discovered dead in his garage by his housekeeper, Elizabeth. His body was wrapped in black plastic, tied with a telephone cord, and surrounded by blood, with his Cadillac parked nearby. The police were called, and an investigation into his murder began. Reports suggested that Barry was first beaten in his bedroom and then strangled with a telephone cord before being moved to the garage. It appeared to be a crime of revenge. Barry's life was abruptly cut short in a chilling murder case that left everyone baffled. The fact that all of his belongings, from his wallet to his TV, were left untouched indicated that this was not a simple robbery gone wrong. The police were at a loss, unable to identify the murderer, and as time passed, the case grew colder and colder. Initially, there were suspicions that Barry's sexuality may have played a role in his tragic demise, but no leads were found to support this theory. The authorities even questioned individuals in the movie and bridge industries, but they hit a dead end with no clear suspect in sight. The devastating loss of Barry left his loved ones heartbroken and shattered. However, a glimmer of hope emerged when a fingerprint was discovered on a ceramic statue found on Barry's bedroom floor, the very object used to strike him down. This lone piece of evidence became the focal point of the investigation. Unfortunately, without a match, the case was put on hold, leaving it unsolved for over 3 decades. But in 2006, with advancements in technology, the Los Angeles Police Department decided to reopen the case. The fingerprints were sent for testing, and after years of waiting, a breakthrough finally occurred. On May 9, 2019, the cold case detectives arrested Edwin Jerry Hyatt, a 52-year-old truck driver from North Carolina, based on a positive fingerprint match. Edwin had a troubled past, with a criminal history involving auto theft, assault, and drug abuse. Initially, he denied any connection to Barry, but eventually confessed to the murder. According to Edwin's statement, he had known Barry since the early 80s and had occasionally done yard work for him. On the fateful day of the murder, Barry had allegedly invited Edwin to his home. Edwin claimed that Barry made a sexual advance towards him, sparking a violent altercation that tragically ended in Barry's death. Edwin was charged with the murder of Barry Crane and was extradited to California to face justice. Finally, after more than 3 decades of uncertainty, Barry's friends and family found closure. The arrest of Edwin brought a sense of justice that had eluded them for so long. Barry's memory lives on as a talented producer, director, and bridge player, and his story serves as a poignant reminder of the unwavering pursuit of justice.
Christina King earned the nickname Cricket from her family due to her petite stature. She was born in 1972 and resided in Kansas City, Kansas. Christina was married to Christopher Wayne Goodall, a professional roofer, and their relationship was filled with love and affection. In 1988, they joyfully welcomed their first child, April, into the world. 3 years later, their family grew with the arrival of their second daughter, Ashley. Unfortunately, Christopher's occupation couldn't adequately support their family, prompting Christina to seek alternative means of providing for them. Sources indicate that she began soliciting clients for financial assistance in an area known as Central Street, offering escort services. Tragically, Christopher found himself incarcerated at some point, leaving Christina feeling hopeless. Despite the societal label she carried, those who knew her believed she was genuinely a good-hearted individual. However, circumstances forced her into a life on the streets, where she faced the harsh realities of a world that often failed to recognize the humanity behind such labels. Christina experienced a brief period of incarceration, but her recent release from prison marked a somber chapter in her life. Unfortunately, the day after her release would be her last. In 1998, April, who was in 5th grade and celebrating her 10th Christmas, received devastating news. On Christmas morning, a group of boys scavenging for scrap metal in the driveway of an abandoned nursing home made a horrifying discovery. They stumbled upon a partially unclothed body, bearing signs of severe beatings and abandonment. The victim had suffered blunt force trauma to the head, with her pants partially pulled down. Nearby, her bra, shoes, and personal belongings were scattered. The victim's face had been brutally disfigured, leaving a gruesome scene. The Kansas City Police Department notified Christina's family, forever altering their lives. The victim was identified as 26-year-old Christina King, and the investigation into her tragic demise and the identity of her assailant began. Penny Barnett, the mother of Christina, consistently followed up with the KCPD in her quest for information. However, unbeknownst to Barnett, the police had actually obtained a lead. A used condom discovered at the crime scene alongside Christina's lifeless body. Unfortunately, there was a significant amount of negligence and incompetence on the part of the police, but I will delve into that later. On one occasion, during a phone call, Detective Terry Mast treated Penny Barnett so harshly that she ended up hanging up in tears. When her husband inquired about the reason behind her distress, she revealed that Detective Mast had been insensitive and had used inappropriate language when referring to Christina. The police displayed a clear bias against Christina, as they repeatedly informed the family that she was merely a streetwalker and therefore not a priority. This prejudiced attitude was evident at various points. April, later in life, had the opportunity to view the autopsy photos of her mother and was appalled by the numerous injuries, abrasions and bruises that covered her body. In 2010, Christopher Goodall passed away, leaving the two girls orphaned. However, even before this tragedy, their family had already been fractured by Christina's untimely death. For 5 years, Ashley and April had been fending for themselves, with Ashley, at just 14 years old, scouring Quindaro in search of the person responsible for her mother's murder. Quindaro, once a thriving settlement, had become an abandoned ghost town and was considered unsafe during the 90s. Ashley found herself in perilous situations, desperately seeking closure. Eventually, she got into a truck with someone she believed had a connection to her mother's killer. This individual was supposedly a suspect because Christina King's cousin and 2 other women had stolen a significant quantity of his illicit substances. However, this was merely a rumor circulating on the streets. Fortunately, he turned out not to be the person Ashley was seeking, and he did not cause her any harm. 2 decades passed without any further progress in the case. Then, in December 2021, the family gathered at the intersection of North 27th Street and Sewell Avenue for a prayer vigil and balloon release. The vigil had been organized by Justice for Wyandotte, an advocacy group committed to promoting transparency in law enforcement. The group extended their support to Christina King's investigation, as they aimed to assist the loved ones of those who had been mistreated by the legal system. Khadija Hardway, a member of Justice for Wyandotte, took charge of coordinating the entire event. During her address to the attendees, she emphasized the significance of cases like Christina's, highlighting the urgent need for the Kansas Police Department to establish a cold case unit. Hardway urged the new police chief to allocate existing funds towards the establishment of this unit, as she believed it will enhance transparency in addressing both cold cases and ongoing investigations. This plea sparked a transformative response within the KCPD, ultimately leading to a breakthrough in Christina's case. The newly appointed police chief, Carl Oakman, took Hardway's request seriously and wasted no time in fulfilling it. Immediately after being sworn in on January 1, 2021, he made a solemn commitment to establish a cold case unit within the force. True to his word, a year later, in January 2022, Kansas City's first cold case unit became operational, employing 3 dedicated full-time detectives. This unit would play a crucial role in solving long-standing cold cases. Understanding the origins of justice for Wyandotte is essential. It all began with Pearl Davis, a 43-year-old mother. Born in 1953, Pearl Barnes was Khadijah Hardaway's cousin and a devoted mother to her 2 young children. Pearl, also known as Semima Musawir, was an active member of the Kansas City Islamic community. She worked tirelessly to provide for her children, offering her services as a skilled seamstress and running a transportation business that catered to the Chillicothe Correctional Facility. Additionally, she worked as an SRS driver, operated a daycare, sold dinners and bean pies, and actively participated in her family's lives, juggling a diverse range of responsibilities. Given her extensive involvement in the community, a sudden disappearance did not go unnoticed by anyone. Regrettably, Pearl's lifeless body was discovered on November 22, 1996, in an unoccupied residence on Lafayette Avenue in Kansas City. The property had previously belonged to her deceased mother. The autopsy conducted on Pearl revealed a horrifying truth. She had been brutally stabbed more than 40 times, her clothing forcibly removed and scattered nearby. The responsibility of investigating this case fell upon Detective Roger Golubsky of the Kansas Police Department. However, Detective Golubsky faced allegations of misconduct, as he had abused his position of authority on multiple occasions. From 1983 to 2008, the Kansas Police Department failed to properly investigate a series of similar cases involving women, most of whom were working women of similar ages. These women often found themselves grappling with homelessness, substance addiction, or engaged in escort services. Their tragic fates were marked by brutal methods such as strangulation, asphyxiation, blunt force trauma, or stabbing. Their lifeless bodies were heartlessly abandoned in remote locations or isolated structures. Disturbingly, all of these women were discovered either partially or completely unclothed, with their pants pulled down or shirts pulled off. The victim's clothing was typically found in close proximity. Christina King, too, endured these terrifying circumstances. As time passed and the cases grew cold, it became increasingly evident that something was amiss with Golubsky. Despite his familiarity with most, if not all, of the women who had been mercilessly slain, none of the case files indicated his knowledge of these individuals. Furthermore, despite the abundance of potential physical evidence that could have been analyzed, these particular cases received insufficient attention from forensic experts. As a result, evidence collection was often limited, and efforts to identify potential perpetrators through DNA or other forensic means were inadequate. The level of incompetence displayed was truly astounding. In fact, in Christina King's case, the Kansas Police Department received a DNA match with a potential suspect, but failed to conduct a follow-up investigation. Khadijah Hardway, moved by the prolonged neglect of Golubsky's victims' pleas for justice, found inspiration to collaborate with the community in organizing rallies and demonstrations. The objective was to ensure that the unsolved cases, the faces of the affected women, and their stories would not fade into oblivion. Motivated by Pearl's case, she joined forces with like-minded women to establish a non-profit called Justice for Wyandotte in 2020. The organization worked diligently to combat the department's corrupt individuals. Officers were observed using excessive force, bullying, intimidating, fabricating evidence, wrongfully arresting individuals and coercing false testimonies to avoid false accusations and imprisonment. Thanks to Justice for Wyandotte shedding light on the crimes, they exposed the systematic corruption. They brought attention to the case of Lamont McIntyre, who was falsely accused and imprisoned for 23 years for a crime he did not commit. Despite being exonerated in 2017, he never received justice. Golubsky remained free. However, there were still many unresolved issues regarding Golubsky, particularly in victimizing women. During her involvement with the organization, Hardway arranged a meeting with Carl Oakman, a former candidate for chief of police. In this meeting, she highlighted the evident and unacceptable apathy surrounding unsolved cold cases in the community, stressing the enduring impact on Kansas City families and loved ones. She strongly advocated for the establishment of a cold case unit within the Kansas City Police Department. Following the meeting with Oakman, Justice for Wyandotte initiated an awareness campaign and petitioned for the establishment of a dedicated cold case unit, aiming to address the numerous unsolved cases that had occurred in Kansas City since 1965. In 2003, police received a DNA match from the condom found near Christina's body, identifying Gary Davis as the suspect. Surprisingly, he was not immediately questioned, despite being closely monitored by Wyandotte County Community Corrections. Gary Davis, a 52-year-old Kansas City resident, was a truck driver in his early 20s at the time of the alleged incidents involving Christina and Pearl. Due to the nature of his job, it was understandable why he had managed to evade suspicion back then, as he often traveled far from the crime scenes. Although the police were aware of his whereabouts, it took 20 years to finally arrest Davis. The investigation was slow, with a 14-month delay in questioning the suspect, followed by years of silence. After a public appeal for Justice for Wyandotte in 2021, it took another 18 months to process the DNA, form a team, and apprehend the perpetrator. In 2022, the cold case unit connected the dots, confirming that the DNA from both crime scenes matched Gary Davis Sr., the initial suspect. Police also discovered a Facebook page that matched Davis's name and description, containing controversial posts about truck driving and societal double standards. When attempting to contact him, officers found only one operational phone number out of 3 listed, with a full voicemail inbox. Finally, in September 2023, Davis was arrested and charged with the murder of Christina King, with bail set at $500,000. Importantly, there was no statute of limitations, ensuring that justice could be served regardless of the time that had passed. If convicted, Davis could face life imprisonment. In a surprising turn of events, Wyandotte County District Attorney Mark Dupree and Kansas City Police Chief Carl Oakman jointly conducted a press conference to commend their investigative efforts. Dupree highlighted the relentless work of the detectives, while Oakman underscored the importance of a thorough investigation over the significance of the DNA hit. They both emphasized the meticulous analysis required to ensure the correct suspect was apprehended. Meanwhile, in March 2022, attorney Cheryl Pellet, representing Kansas City, shed light on the corrupt environment within the Kansas Police Department. She issued a statement aiming to indict not only disgraced detective Roger Golubsky, but the entire culture that enabled his misconduct. Golubsky, responsible for an unjust arrest, faced federal charges, including kidnapping, sexual assault, and human trafficking. Presently, the Kansas Police Department is collaborating with other law enforcement agencies to determine if Davis could be linked to additional homicides in the region or potentially thousands of miles away due to his occupation as a long-haul driver. Davis is currently a suspect or person of interest in at least 8 other cases. The establishment of the cold case unit through Justice for Wyandotte led to the resolution of 11 more cases. It is evident that the Kansas Police Department bears responsibility for the delayed arrest, which could have been made years earlier. The department owes the families of the victims an apology and a thorough explanation. The distressed loved ones, particularly Christina's daughters, who sought closure for years, were all victims of the department's incompetence.